Hello everyone, and welcome to another rousing episode of Spilling the Tea Tuesday, where I answer your questions about the law of assumption. So grab a chair, take a seat, because you know I'm going to be dropping deets all about manifestation. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Flossie, and I am a mindset coach. If you'd like to have one-on-one coaching with me, links are going to be in the description box below, as well as for upcoming classes, and I actually have an SP course. So if you're interested in any of that, links will be in the description box below. And as you know, Nikki and I make subliminals. Links will also be for that. So let's get started. I made a post as usual asking you guys for your questions all about manifestation, and I picked the topics most interesting to me, of course, as usual. Having said that, I saw a bunch of common themes. So first thing that I want to remind you guys is everything is based on your assumptions. Everyone and everything in your 3D reality, everything that you hear, see, experience is based on your thoughts and assumptions. And I got a lot of questions that were literally just based on that. You were asking, questions like, is the SP not going to love you due to a physical flaw? Or guys having eyes just for you when there's hot girls everywhere? Or thoughts about what if your manifestation never comes, or your SP's always ghosting, or your SP's a narcissist, or that you're having blocks, and what are you doing wrong, and where's my manifestation? All those things based on your thoughts and assumptions. SP not going to love you due to a physical flaw? That's your assumption. You can have anything that you want. You can be with anyone that you want. If you have a desire to be in a relationship, that desire comes from your God self. It means creation is already finished. That desire already belongs to you, which means there's already a version of your specific person who wants to be with you, because if that didn't exist, you wouldn't have the desire in the first place. So the thought that your SP isn't going to want to be with you because of physical flaw, that is being your assumption, and you've got to get rid of that. Your SP is going to love you no matter what. My SP loves me no matter what. My SP is madly in love with me. He fully accepts me. Whatever it is that you want to affirm, but get your self-concept up, because physical flaw doesn't matter in the law of manifestation. Circumstances don't matter. They are irrelevant. Your SP is going to love you anyway, period. And then you mentioned guys only have eyes just for you when there's hot girls everywhere. It's your assumption that hot girls are everywhere. You're the hottest bitch on the face of the planet in your reality. I would be affirming like, I'm the hottest woman that exists in my reality. I'm the very definition of sexiness, period. And then you can affirm that your SP only has eyes for you. My SP only has eyes for me. He can only stand looking at me. He knows I'm the sexiest woman up on the face of the planet. I'm the only woman that does it for him. Don't entertain that there are other hot women that your SP is going to be looking at. No, that's an assumption. That assumption doesn't work for you. Take it and put it in the owl right there. That trash can, all these assumptions can go right in the trash. I'm pointing wrong, but you know what I mean. Over there. There you go. That's where they belong. Put them in there. Thoughts, what if the manifestation never comes? You don't want to entertain that. Do you want to create more of it appearing like your manifestation isn't coming? Because that's just causing a delay. You don't want to delay your shit. No, I get my manifestations like that. I always get what I want. I get what I want at a snap of a finger. You get what you want like that. Don't entertain that your shit isn't coming or that it's not going to come. SP's always ghosting. No, they're not. They pay attention to you all the time. They're consistent. You're always a priority. If your SP's ghosting you, it's because you have the assumption that they're going to ghost you. SP's a narcissist. Same thing. You have the assumption that your SP's a narcissist. Change how you see them. You have to recreate them. Recreate them at the version that you want them to be. Don't sit there and think that they're a narcissist. No, that assumption doesn't work for you. Put it in the garbage. It belongs over there. Just right in there. SP's not a narcissist. He treats you like a diamond. He's loving. He's this. He's that. Take a piece of paper out. Write how you want your SP to show up. Totally recreate them. And then affirm that they're perfection. Narcissist, that's a creation. Having blocks, you don't have any blocks. You don't have any blocks. Stick that right in the trash where it belongs. If you're going to sit there and think about that you're having blocks, you're always going to have blocks. They're always going to exist. You're going to keep manifesting them. If you have the assumption that you're not getting your manifestation because you have blocks, guess what? You're not going to get your manifestation because you're assuming that you have a block. And a lot of times when you go looking for more blocks, what do you manifest? Finding more blocks. That is some law of attraction BS. Like, that's practically a swear word around here. No. Garbage can. What are you doing wrong? A lot of times you're not doing anything wrong. It's your repeated thought of affirming to yourself that you're doing something wrong that makes it seem like you're doing something wrong. Because if you're sitting there thinking like, where's my manifestation? I'm doing something wrong. My manifestation isn't showing up. I've got blocks. You're going to keep manifesting it seeming like that to you because your assumption is that you have those things like a block or questioning where your manifestation is. If you're looking for it and you're constantly seeking for it, not only are you looking to the 3D for validation, but you are legitimately creating more looking. You're creating more, where's my manifestation? Because you're searching for it and you think, where is it? It's not here. I'm not going to get it, etc. And you just create more of that. So put all that shit in the trash where it belongs. You're just having assumptions that don't work for you. I would not have those assumptions. They do not work for you. Put them in the trash. People are asking, I'm affirming, but I'm getting the opposite. Well, that can be a couple different things. Either you're having a purge, like, because maybe like you're affirming and you're persisting, but you got an old story it's got to play out. Go check out some of my previous Spill the Tea videos where I talk stuff about Star Wars. Like you go into the movie theater, Star Wars is playing, but you bought tickets to the 50 Shades of Grey because you want to have 50 Shades of Grey, you know, hot, sizzling, loving with your SP. But when you get to the theater, you get there early, Star Wars is still playing. Well, what has to happen? Star Wars has got to play out. It's just got to play out. Because those are your old thoughts and assumptions. New thoughts, 50 Shades of Grey. Old thoughts, Star Wars. So Star Wars has got to play out. So sometimes you're affirming and persisting and you're seeing some of the opposite because Star Wars is playing out. Your old thoughts are leaving, things of that nature. Sometimes you can get yourself in a pattern. If you start forming the assumption, every time I affirm, I get the opposite, what are you going to get? You're going to get the opposite. That's another one of those things that belongs in the trash because your thoughts and assumptions create. And so if you start forming, that's why your assumptions about your 3D reality are so important, because if you start forming assumptions like, every time I affirm, I always get the opposite. Every time I affirm, I always get the opposite. I don't get my shit. I get opposite shit. What are you going to manifest? Opposite shit. Do you want to get opposite of your manifestation? Hell to the no. Trash can that. Affirm, I get my desires easily and quickly. I always get everything that I want. My manifestations always unfold in the most beautiful way possible. I get my shit MF, period. Period. Don't sit there and think that I'm always getting the opposite. No, I always get my shit, get it hella quick, always get exactly what I want. Everyone conforms to my thoughts and assumptions. Why? Because I'm God of my reality. I'm a master manifesting. I always get what I want. It is shown to me daily. I'm the most powerful manifester that has ever existed on the face of this planet. Hardcore facts. Friends with benefits. You said you don't like it. Now you're in no contact. Is it enough to affirm that he's ready to commit and he will contact me, or should I continue friends with benefits? So I heard two things in here that we got to work on a little bit. He is ready to commit. Like, I would be affirming that he is committing to me right now. Like, not that he's just sitting over there ready to commit. No, he is committed to me right now. We are in a committed, loving, healthy relationship. We are together. He loves being my boyfriend. He loves being with me. He loves everything about me. I wouldn't stay focused on ready to commit or that he will contact me, because future, I mean, you know, there's different thoughts about that. I personally affirm shit like I have it and I have it right now. I don't keep things in the future. That doesn't mean that you can't ever think of stuff as the future, because maybe you're going to take a future trip. But I still, even when I'm thinking of vacation, I love my vacation at such and such. I had an amazing time at my vacation. I'm having an amazing time at my vacation. I don't put things off. You want to have it. If you're wanting stuff and you want it right now, you affirm like you have it right now. That is living from thinking from the end, because if you already have it, you're not saying I will have it. You're like, I have it right the F now. I have it right now. He's contacting me right now. He's blowing up my phone right now. He is committed to me right now. Should you have continued with friends with benefits? Don't stay in a situation that is unhealthy, uncomfortable for you. You can get whatever you want in your 3D reality. You do not have to put up with behavior that you don't prefer just to try to get what you want. Some people use friends with benefits to their advantage because they're in an intimate relationship and they use that intimacy in order to affirm and persist to get more of what they want. But if it's disturbing to you, uncomfortable for you, is making you feel terrible because you don't have what you want, then don't do it, and then affirm and persist for what you do want, because you can get what you want whether you have friends or benefits or not. How to suspend disbelief towards manifestation and not feel delusional. You do reverse engineering to see what you've manifested in the past. You manifest other things and keep track of that and prove to yourself that you're the operant power. Because if you are affirming, wouldn't it be funny if XYZ happened? And as I've said before, and I'll say again, you know, you can manifest having people in your 3D reality do things that are unusual, wear some clothing that is different for them, say an unusual phrase, something that would be unique to you, see things that are just like so uncommon. Like, I mean, for example, I think that there was a report recently of a friend who saw a like pink camouflage tow truck or something. It was outrageous. Who thinks you that you would see that? So you can affirm and persist for whatever you want, and then it shows up and you know it's from you. You keep track of that stuff. It helps to show to you that it's not delusional, especially when you do reverse engineering too. When you manifest other stuff and you do reverse engineering, you're like, I know I've manifested this shit. I've proven to me that it works. And as I've said, use the Olympian athlete analogy. What do they do when they train Olympians? You have the mindset that, they're telling them you're an Olympian gold medal winner. You're at the Olympics. You've won the Olympics. Have these kids won the Olympics? Hell no. Have they been there? Hell no. But they do a mindset, and they know that by having people think that way, that will help them to become the winner that is inside them. You're doing the same thing, but you're just doing it with other stuff. Not delusional. It's not delusional because our thoughts create, and we prove that time and time again. Look at other people's success stories and what they've manifested and some of the impossible things that they've seemed to manifest. It's because it's a manifestation. It's not a miracle. It's not a coincidence. It just is what it is. Manifestation, period. Why do we feel like subliminals don't work when it works for others? And then also listening to subliminals, how to convince yourself you have results. So if you're feeling like subliminals don't work for you, but it works for everybody else, that's just another assumption that you have about your 3D reality that doesn't work for you. Your 3D reality is going to operate based on, your most dominant thoughts and assumptions about whatever subject that it is. And if your subject about subliminals are that they work and that they're going to work for you, they're going to work for you. If you are absolutely convinced that they don't work and that it's just trash science and that they have no absolute meaning at all, if you have a hard assumption about that, they're not going to work for you, but they're going to be working for other people. That's just kind of how the way that it is. It's like, that's just how it is. Because our thoughts and assumptions create our 3D reality. So I would be affirming like subliminals always work for me. When I listen to subliminals, I get instant results. I mean, you can change your 3D reality just based on what you affirm, change your thoughts and assumptions. Listening to subliminals, convincing yourself you have results, that is like anything else. That is like literally the very definition of persistence in a manifestation. Because like if someone is affirming that they have the perfect face, perfect body, or they're in the perfect relationship, whether they're listening to subliminals and or affirming, because obviously we're always going to affirm and we're always going to persist, you're still thinking from that reality that you want to be in. You're still thinking from the end. And so you're telling yourself that you have it, even if you don't see it yet. So if you're affirming or listening to subliminals to be taller, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm hella tall. I'm so tall. And then say the height that you want to be. I grow as tall as I want, as quickly as I want. I grew 3 inches overnight. I mean, whatever it is that you want to affirm about it, you're going to affirm and persist, and it's going to show up in your 3D reality, but it's the same thing. You're going to persist and ignore the 3D, or at least look at the 3D with indifference while you are waiting for your 3D to conform to the thoughts and assumptions that you're creating. Can you take a break from affirming just knowing everything will be fine when the 3D is showing the opposite, and that it is just a bridge because you're feeling low? So if you're affirming and persisting for a manifestation and you're struggling at the moment because maybe the 3D is just feeling like it's hit you like a bat, okay? What I recommend to people to do is focus on yourself for a few minutes. Like, do self-concept, do some self-care. You can go general. If you need to absolutely take a break for a day from affirming, it's not like you're not going to get your manifestation. But at the same time, you still need to affirm and persist for what you want. Like if you're having a bad day and you're just like, I need to take a break, do some self-care, get some sleep, watch a movie. But don't get stuck in a cycle where you're not affirming, because you need to stay on that horse and you need to make sure that your thoughts about your manifestation are in line with what you want to manifest. Manifestation, while we do it naturally, our thoughts do create. And now that we're conscious creators, it's like, I think that people go through a phase where they're trying to double check like every single minute thought that they have, and they're like freaking out that their stuff isn't going to manifest. But as you prove to yourself that you're a master at manifesting and that you're powerful, you'll notice that it's kind of like you just already know that it's mine, it belongs to me. I'm just legit going to have it. And you do whatever you need to do to reduce the resistance, if you have any, to that manifestation. And you just keep your thoughts in line with the manifestation itself. But you can't, you base your 3D reality on your thoughts and assumptions. In my 3D reality, I don't have the assumption that I'm going to set it and forget it, because I don't think manifestation is a crock pot. I think I have to keep my thoughts in line with my manifestation. I do affirm and persist for the things that I want more than others, as far as like their importance to me, especially if I need to change my thoughts about them. But I don't And unless it's something I have no resistance to and I could care less about, it's not like I affirm for something once or twice and then, set it and forget it, because I don't do that. And so I would recommend, if you're feeling a little low, go ahead and take a little breather, but then go general, work on self-concept, and then make sure your thoughts are in line with your manifestation. How to not vain affirm. Does vain affirming really not work? Vain affirming is basically like you're on your phone and you're like scrolling through your phone, or you're engaged in a TV show and you're like, my SP's madly in love with me, SP's madly in love with me, SP's madly in love with me. Like, you're not paying attention to what you're affirming. Like, you're literally not paying attention to what your thoughts are. You're just randomly saying something, like you're listening to music in the background and you're singing along with it, but you're not paying attention because you could actually be doing 2 or 3 other things while you're doing that. Vain affirming, to me, is not as effective because you're not really paying attention to your thoughts. You could sit there and vain affirm and think other stuff. If you're really truly affirming, whether it's whether you're affirming via saying some repetitive looping, whether you're rampaging, whether you're scripting, or, if you're having thoughts because you're having like visualization that you're concentrating on, you are concentrating on your thoughts, and your thoughts are what it has your attention. But if you're doing something and you're not paying attention to where you could literally be thinking other shit, because if you're scrolling through Facebook and saying SP's madly in love with me while you're legit reading other people's stories, you are more focused on the stories that you're reading or the video that you're watching than what you're actually thinking about your specific person. So no, put that in the garbage can. That's like that's like almost like trying to set it and forget it. When it comes to law of assumption and manifesting, can we change what our intuition or gut says about a situation, or is that ego getting in the way? So we have a lot of, I guess you could say, over time conditioning, and we develop thoughts about certain types of people, certain types of situation, and in our reality, like if we encounter something similar to what we've experienced before, that can show up kind of like a gut feeling, and we're like, oh, it's like our little ego is trying to warn us, like, we've seen this shit before, shit didn't go well, which means that this is what's going to happen now. Now, let me tell you about having a gut feeling. It helps you, it causes you, when you have a gut feeling, to like form an assumption about something, and then that's exactly what happens, and then you're like, yeah, I'm right. Well, your reality is going to be based on your thoughts and assumptions. So let's say you meet somebody, and just based on their mannerisms, you're like, that person is a jerk. They're a jerk. I can tell. I know they're going to be a jerk to me, blah, 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 because of how they conduct themselves, like the aura or vibe or whatever it is that you want to call it that you get from them. What it is you've made probably an observation based on many things, because our brain collects a ton of information at once and processes it. And you've made some observations that you're unaware of, and it manifests in you like as a gut feeling, like there's this terrible person. Now, and I'm talking about regular people. I'm not talking about dangerous situations, like where I'm just talking like you just meet a random person at a party or something, and you're like, oh, they're going to be a jerk. They're going to be a jerk to you because that's your assumption, because you've assimilated all this information and created that. And so now your brain likes to prove itself right. Your ego likes to prove itself right. You've already got this assumption. And so that's how it's going to manifest. And you're going to be like, yep, I knew they were a jerk from the second I saw them. Now, if you would change your assumptions about that person and chosen to think, you know what, they're a really nice person, I'm going to like them, they'd probably be nice to you, because you would be changing your thoughts and assumptions about how they're going to be. So, obviously there's some conflicting thoughts on like the whole gut intuition thing, because, you could, who knows, in the spiritual realm, if you're picking up information. I'm just saying, like, in general, if you think you're having a gut feeling, a lot of the times it can just be because you've picked up a bunch of information and you're making an assumption or a judgment based on all this information that would be hard for you to personally decipher each individual thing. And you're gonna end up being right because you have that hard assumption that that's the way that something's gonna be. So that's what I'd say about that. I've experienced that myself. I've had like a gut feeling and I've been like, oh, this person's going to be that way. And of course they were that way, because that was my assumption, and they had to conform to my thoughts and assumptions about them. And so now when I have those feelings, I try to really look at them and be like, where's this coming from? Is this really stemmed in true reality, or am I just coming up with some thoughts and assumptions based on some previous bullshit that I need to overlook? So you'll have to examine those things personally for yourself. Everyone is you pushed out, recreating someone, how to behave when you see the old version. So when you're recreating somebody and you've made your list of all the qualities you want them to have, you know exactly the version that you want them to be, and you're affirming and persisting that they are perfection, they're the perfect version. When they show up, I like Star Wars, so when you're affirming for Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey and they show up like Chewbacca still because they haven't conformed, you ignore Chewbacca. You deal with Chewbacca as much as you have to in the 3D, because there are situations that you can't fully reject Chewbacca, like you might have to interact with Chewbacca, but you don't have to engage Chewbacca. You don't have to poke Chewbacca with a stick. You don't have to try to get arguments with Chewbacca. You can look at that version and you can either revise on the spot and have it be to where they acted the way you wanted. If you don't do that, because some people don't prefer that, look at it and be like, okay, this is how they're acting right now. They're being Chewbacca because it's based on my old thoughts and assumptions. And so I know what it is. And I know that my 3D is like this right this second. And I'm going to be okay with that for a second, because I know that my new thoughts that I'm doing are going to be what manifests. So I'm not going to react emotionally, because I'm going to look at it with indifference and like I don't give a fuck. And I'm going to just keep affirming and persisting for exactly what I want. So just because someone acts like Chewbacca doesn't mean that you've got to argue with them, get into a fight with them, keep the cycle of irritation going. Doesn't mean you have to be a doormat. If they're acting like a buffoon and you're like, you know what? I don't want to be treated that way. You can set a boundary. I don't want to be treated that way, period. But at the same time, you don't have to poke them with a stick. That's what I have to say about that. How to stop going back and forth with decisions. If you're struggling with decisions and you're going back and forth, I literally would affirm I have clarity on all matters, or I have clarity regarding, and say what it is. Because if you are affirming for clarity, you will gain the clarity that you need. Your God self is not an idiot. It is omnipotent in its wisdom. It is literally all that is. And we have part of that God essence within us. And so if your God self knows what has to move for you to get your manifestation, and it's moving thousands of people at times to get you your manifestation, and it knows where everything is and what everybody's doing and how to get you your manifestation, trust when I say that if you're affirming for clarity, affirming for knowledge, affirming for help with a decision, you are going to be shown whatever you need to be shown to make that decision, or you'll be given whatever knowledge that you need to make that decision. So affirm for clarity, and clarity will come to you. And if you're struggling with decisions on like a specific person, bear in mind that if you're constantly going back and forth on how you feel about your specific person, whether you want them or not, whether you're going to accept them or not, whether you want to be with them or not, or whatever, they are going to show up hot and cold because you're going back and forth like a jerking car, and they're going to do the same thing. That's one of the things that creates hot and cold behavior, is going back and forth on whether you want them or not, whether you want to recreate them or not, etc. Whether you like that version, don't like that version. It's your indecisiveness that can also create hot and cold behavior. And who wants to deal with that? Now, affirm for clarity, that you have clarity on whatever situation that it is. Get that clarity. How to keep your manifestation? Well, that's very important, because you don't want to manifest something in your 3D reality just to have it go away. So first of all, a lot of it is you got to make sure that you're affirming and persisting until whatever you're manifesting is completely hardened into fact. And it's hardened into fact when you don't even really have to think about it anymore, because it is consistent. It's always there. It's always the way that you are expecting it to be. But you still keep your thoughts in line with what you want to experience. If you're manifesting a specific person and they are conformed and they're in your 3D reality and things are going amazing, if you have a thought about, ooh, I bet he's going to cheat again, or ooh, he's going to start ghosting me because it's been a hot minute, or ooh, XYZ is going to happen. Oh, that bitch looked at him over there. He's going to go ask for her number. No, 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 no. That is how you manifest some nasty ass shit. So whenever Felicia's like, oh, I saw a look in his eye, that means he's going to do this. You're like, nope, He is going to do X, Y, Z because we're in a loving, committed relationship. He's fully committed to me. He only has eyes for me. She thinks I'm dope. She thinks that I'm the best thing on the face of this planet. She is madly in love with me, etc. We're in a loving, committed relationship, period. And you keep your thoughts in line with your manifestation. You keep your manifestations by keeping an eye on your thoughts and keeping them in line with what you want to experience. Hardcore facts. What is more effective and quick, subliminals or recorded affirmations? What is the most effective and quick is keeping your thoughts in line with your manifestations. Now, subliminals, recorded affirmations, you can use either one. They both are effective, but it also is based on your assumptions about your reality. If your assumption in your reality is that subliminals don't work at all, they're not going to work for you. If you think recorded affirmations are going to work, they're going to work for you, and vice versa. Subliminals, I love the fact that you can listen to them at night. You can play them in the background while you're doing something else, and you're still going to get the positive effects for it. That's how it works in my 3D reality, period. But the quickest way and the most effective way to get your shit is to affirm and persist for it and keep your thoughts in line with your manifestation, because listening to subliminals doesn't replace keeping a clean mental diet. It helps. It can be a very big help. It can help change your mindset. Your subconscious is taking it in. And it, as you can see, can give people very fast movement. There's a lot of people getting their shit from listening to subs. But at the same time, you have to keep your thoughts in line with your manifestation. So I use a combination of all of it. Listen to subs. You can use your recorded affirmations if you want, and then keep your mental diet clean and affirm, persist for what you want, and get your fucking shit and get it like lightning. Get it like a snap of a finger. How to know there's movement even though you can't see it? By knowing that there's always movement. There's always movement happening. If you read or hear about other people in their manifestation journeys, what do they say? They say that, once they got their manifestation and they learned about how it unfolded, that there was always movement, even if they didn't know it. I've had people tell me that they were constantly thinking about me, period. And it didn't look like anything was happening. And that's sometimes the way that it is, but that was movement. There's always movement for what you want. It just is. That's the way that it is, because every time you're affirming, things are moving. It's just, you can't see them because you may not always be able to see them. Sometimes you see them, sometimes it's obvious because you're actually seeing something physical in the 3D repeatedly. But if you're not seeing anything, don't be like, where's my manifestation? There's no movement. There is always movement because you're affirming that other person's getting that message. That other person is getting pinged, tinged, all of that. It's like, a beacon. It is a beacon, period. And you just never know what ends up moving until you get your stuff. And sometimes even then it's like you don't even hear the full entire backstory, but rest assured in the knowledge that movement is literally always happening. It is always moving. And you'll know that more as you get manifestations. That's why I say manifest other stuff. And then pay attention to the people around you who are manifesting other stuff and hear or see, read, whatever, what movement they were having, whether they were physically seeing it at that second or not. Because so many people have said, I didn't see any movement, but this person was talking to this person and the SP was thinking this, or, employers were looking at this and passing my name around. People were talking about me behind the scenes. You just don't know it, because it's just not right in front of you. Our senses are limited, and it's only limited to this tiny, dinky little area that you're in. I mean, even if you're on the phone, it's just still limited to where you are because you can only hear the phone that's next to your ear. There's stuff happening all over the world at any given time. Hardcore facts, period. Those were the questions for today. I think by the time I edit this video, it's still going to be well over 20 minutes long. So it's a bunch of questions, a bunch of stuff we went over. Try to take it from a bunch of different topics, and I hope that this information was helpful to you, because I just like to answer your questions about manifestation, help you guys in your manifestation journey. Keep your eye out for my next post so that I can select new questions, because I love doing Spill the Tea Tuesday. So happy manifesting, keep affirming and persisting, get your shit. Remember, you can be, do, have anything that you want. Start every day by stepping into your power. Affirm, I'm a master at manifesting. I always get what I want. Everything always works out for me. Work on your self-concept. Get your manifestations off the pedestal and just get your fucking shit. Period. Until next time, I'll see you then.